Hi, I'm Betty Hollister, Public Information Manager with the Regional Flood Control District, and welcome to another edition of the Flood Channel. Don't you just love award shows? The Oscars, the Golden Globes, and the Emmys are just a few of the best of shows that we enjoy watching. Well, we didn't want to be left out, so we put together our own Best of the Flood Channel program. So without further ado, the envelope please. Thank you. Our first award is for Best Performance, and the winner goes to the August 2003 and 2007 storms, which were very similar in strength, but had very different outcomes. Take a look.
Comparing apples to oranges is a saying used to indicate significant differences between items or events. Our county was hit with similar storms in August of 2003 and August of 2007, with quite different outcomes as a result of what has been built by the Clark County Regional Flood Control District. In August 2003, an incredibly intense thunderstorm battered the valley, dropping up to 3 inches of rainfall in about 90 minutes of time. Especially hard hit was Gowan Road near US 95 in the northwest part of the valley, where the storm developed and hovered. The runoff from this storm turned many roads into raging rivers. Some of the flood district's rain gauges measured rainfall totals that exceeded those of a 100-year storm, which is the standard the district uses to size drainage facilities in Clark County. It was estimated the water flowed down Gowan Road at US 95 at an incredible 3,000 cubic feet per second. Or, to look at it another way, imagine a basketball packaged in a box. With every passing second, 3,000 of those boxes would be floating past you. That's how much water was raging down Gowan Road. While there were no major injuries reported as a result of this storm, there were a number of both helicopter and swift water rescues. Thousands of commuters were trapped and/or confined by the floodwaters. The city and county reported close to $2 million in damages to roadways, public and private property. One house was completely destroyed, and almost 60 other homes had significant damage as a result of this flood. The devastation could have been worse, if not for the fact that some flood control facilities were completed and in place in the area, capturing upwards of 400 acre-feet of runoff. That compares to a football field with 400 feet of water on top of it. In fact, without those completed facilities, the flows in Gowan Road, instead of just 3,000 cubic feet per second, would have been more than 10,000 cubic feet per second. We know that the significant flooding and damage that resulted was not due only to the intense precipitation, but also to the fact that several flood control channels on the drawing board were not yet built.
What we saw in the Buffalo Gowan area, in the 95 Gowan area, we saw a lot of that runoff from the mountains, and plus strong little heavy storm cell that developed right here added to that. This will all continue to move on off to the southeast.
Lots of moisture streaming in from the southeast, and that's what helped produce it. And then today, you got up this morning, notice how it was beautiful and sunny? That created a lot of energy, pulling in the energy and the moisture, and that equals severe thunderstorm for us.
When rain falls, even if it stays up in the northwest part of town, rain takes a path that wants to lead it to Lake Mead. So even if there's not been a drop of rain out on the east side of town, the potential for flooding is intense.
Fast forward to 2 storms that struck our valley on August 2nd and 27th of 2007. These 2 storms, one at the far west end of Charleston near Red Rock Canyon and another in the Lakes neighborhood near Desert Inn Road and Durango Drive, were not only identical in size to each other, they mirrored the intensity and rainfall of the August 2003 storm. However, these 2 recent storms caused relatively minor damage to roads or homes. The biggest difference was location. Where the rain fell in 2007, the entire flood control infrastructure was built and in the ground. The network of channels and detention basins in place worked as designed, capturing massive amounts of runoff. Between the 2 storms, more than 700 cubic feet of floodwater was prevented from reaching homes and businesses. The residents hit by those 2 storms in 2007 were protected by a completed network of flood control facilities. We know that these types of storms have happened in the past and will again in the future. Rain is a certainty. How we prepare for it is the difference. In 1985, residents of Clark County knew this and overwhelmingly voted to tax themselves to pay for flood control. For the past 20 years, that quarter-cent sales tax has paid for 75 detention basins and more than 450 miles of flood channels and underground storm drains to pass potentially dangerous floodwater safely through the urban area. With each new flood control project, another part of the valley becomes better protected and lessens the chance of devastation caused by floodwaters. The district's master plan is about halfway completed, and we anticipate another 30 years to build all that is needed to protect southern Nevada from dangerous flash floods. Through careful planning, design, and construction of flood control basins, channels, and storm drains, potentially dangerous floodwaters are being controlled, protecting homes and businesses from the devastation of flooding. A lot has already been accomplished, but there's still a long way to go. Similar storms with very different results. It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Coming up after the break, we'll continue with our Best of Award show.
We have all seen the devastation that floods can cause to homes and lives in Clark County. Has your neighborhood or home ever been affected by major storms? Federal flood insurance is a smart and cost-effective investment if you think your home is vulnerable. Some easy-to-understand assessments can help determine if you need flood insurance. Call your insurance agent or call 1-888-CALL-FLOOD or visit the Regional Flood Control District's website for guidance. See if flood insurance makes sense for you.
I'm Agent Smith.
And I'm Agent Jones.
And we're busting people who pollute Clark County.
Hey, who are you guys?
Sir, please step back.
Hey, what are you doing?
Aha! Judged by your reaction, you don't like trash.
No.
Sir, this is yours. We saw you dump it out of your car.
Well, I was
Sir, did you know trash can clog storm drains, cause flooding, and pollute Lake Mead?
Sir, is Clark County your home?
yeah.
And you don't like trash in your home?
No.
Then why would you dump trash in Clark County? Don't trash Clark County. It's our home, too.
Hi, I'm David Brenner, and you're watching the Flood Channel. Is that rain?
Welcome back to the Flood Channel. Our next award is called Father Knows Best. And the envelope, please. And the winner is Clark County Commissioner Bruce Woodbury, who is also known as the father of flood control. Take a look.
Well, when I became a county commissioner in 1981, there was no flood control district. There was really no flood control program. You had the county, and you had each of the cities doing a little public works project here and there. They would ask developers to do flood studies on new projects, but there was no coordinated effort. Each of the entities were going off in their own direction. There were no detention basins, no major flood channels, and we paid the price over the years. And it was not too long after I came into office in 1981 and into 82, we had some big floods. And we went to the legislature, and they authorized us to go to the voters in 1986 and to put it on the ballot and get the people to vote yes or no on whether to have a quarter-cent sales tax to fund the program. The bottom line was, in November of 1986, the voters said yes, and we were really on our way to doing something about flooding in southern Nevada. Everything has to be coordinated. Everything has to be tied together in an integrated program, and it's worked very, very well. And we continue to have flooding. We get major storms every few years, but because of the facilities and the program, the damage has been minimized. Now we still have hundreds of millions of dollars worth of projects still to do over the next at least couple of decades, if not well beyond. And this program has to continue, because if we don't, a lot of the newer areas and even some of the older areas will be vulnerable to devastating flooding and to the kind of property damage and endangerment of lives that has been the case in the past before we had the program. So I've seen the downside, the real devastating effects it can have on people's homes and lives. I've seen the good side, the progress we've made. I've seen the ribbon cuttings of huge detention basins and been in neighborhoods where there have been celebrations for the completion of flood control projects. People that had to deal with the insecurity, the feeling that once again our neighborhood's going to get flooded. Now they knew it wasn't going to happen again. And it hasn't happened again in any of those neighborhoods where our projects have been complete. Well, over the years, some people have called me the father of flood control because of my being the first chairman of the Flood Control District Board, and hopefully provided the leadership to take the program to the people and get it approved and implemented and started. I think now it's probably more, if I could say I'm the grandfather of flood control, maybe the great-grandfather. I appreciate the people putting up with me all these years in office, and you know, it's something I do feel good about that we've achieved, and we've set the stage for a lot of future progress as well.
You know, when we talk about how we had fun when we were children, it was a small town then, and it's grown so tremendously fast. And all these new neighborhoods that they were getting flooded back then, but it was just desert. But now there are homes there and neighborhoods that have been devastated. So this rapid growth has made a huge difference in the amount of flooding that took place over the years. And that's one of the reasons that, you know, Bruce spearheading this has been so tremendous, because you all know how difficult it's been to keep up with the growth in terms of highways and every other thing. But nobody was thinking about flood control. Well, I'm very proud of Bruce. Obviously, he's had to sacrifice a lot of his family time to do everything that he's done, but he really loves the community. And, you know, from time to time when he's had to decide whether to run again or not, and he's asked my opinion, you know, I always say, well, as your wife, no, but as your constituent, yes, because I love what you're doing for our community and for our children and now our grandchildren. We feel that it's been able to stay on a road of progress that will benefit people, and it's not just, you know, it's not just gone up hodgepodge. There's been a lot of planning and that he's been instrumental in.
Well, you know, there's really no reason to be in public office unless you're working to make your community better than it was before. And at the end of the day, when I leave office, I want to be able to look back and in many different areas be able to say, yes, we were able to make a difference, and we were able to help people. Not only in flood control, but in a wide variety of areas. But flood control is very, very important. And I have 7 children, and I have 15 grandchildren, and most of them live here locally, and the ones who don't are planning to move back. And this is our home. Rose and I were born and grew up in southern Nevada. And we love this community, and I feel so much safer for my family and my community, more secure, and that the quality of life is that much better. And we need to keep working to make sure that we complete the program in the future so that that partial reality becomes complete reality.
Clark County Commissioner Bruce Woodbury was instrumental in the formation of the district in 1985, and he's been a board member since our beginning. As the father of 7 and grandfather of 15, he knows the importance of protecting our community from flooding for generations to come. And we'll be back with more on the Flood Channel after this.
Hi, hon. How was your day?
I was good. Nothing special. How about you?
Good. Productive.
Good, good.
Oh, I bought his flood insurance today.
You did what? What do you think we're made of money? I mean, what the heck? Should I just go out and buy a boat and maybe an SUV to pull it around? Oh, okay.
In Clark County, floods can strike at any time, and not just in flood zones. Flooding can cost thousands of dollars in damage, destroying your home and its contents. Do you have flood insurance?
See that clogged storm drain? Something like that, when it rains, will cause water to back up and flood our streets. Hello, Regional Flood Control District. I'd like to report a clogged storm drain. City and county employees are working hard to keep your storm drains clean. If you spot a clogged storm drain, call and report it.
Help protect the environment by keeping our drains and washes clean. Report clogged storm drains by calling 685-0000.
I'm the happiest mayor in the world that you're watching the Flood Channel.
Welcome back to our Best of Awards show. Over the past 20 years, our Flood District team has accomplished a lot of goals, but even the best of teams needs advice and guidance. So our award for Best Supporting Committee goes to our own Citizens Advisory Committee. Take a look.
Well, when we started the Flood Control District in 1985, that was when the legislation passed, we started by legislation a Citizens Advisory Committee, and in the early days we would sit and go over the agenda and approve different projects and this millions and that millions and so on. But it wasn't until 1994 we thought, what a great idea, let's go out and see some of these things so that we know where the money is going, because you can't visualize, you can't sit there and put your arms around $25 or $30 million in a boardroom. You can't do it. So getting out and seeing what these projects are all about is a valuable, valuable lesson and makes us very much more valuable members of the Flood Control District.
Then we're going to go south on I-15. And as we're going south on I-15, once again, you can look out to the right side, back to the railroad tracks, and you can see what area is going to be afforded protection by the site we were just at, and once that project, that detention basin, is completed. We'll get off at Silverado Ranch and go east to Duck Creek, and this is Duck Creek above the lower Duck Creek detention basin.
I am delighted to be part of this because I experienced this thing firsthand. We lived in the same house for 29 years and we live along Duck Creek. I live in a community where Duck Creek crossed 3 of our internal streets. In the early 80s, and particularly in 1984, we were completely devastated by the flooding. I can't tell you how many people, properties were affected. It was just a mess.
Basically, this is all going to be an excavated detention basin. It's 68 acres roughly. It'll be about a 775 acre-foot detention basin, which is one of our bigger basins. Just to compare it, that Tropicana North Basin will be about 60 acre-feet. So this one's going to be more than 10 times bigger than that one. So we actually identified a location on the other side.
I can appreciate it and understand what it does to people, because the water is going to go from the mountains to Lake Mead, regardless of what's in the way. And so to be able to mitigate some of that angle of the water is a very rewarding situation. Of course it's all over the valley. That's the only way this would work, a regional aspect. I use Duck Creek as just an example. You could cite the same things on the other washes. I don't think there are many other kind of things like this that have succeeded so well. And the foresight of establishing this in this southern Nevada, which hadn't happened in northern Nevada, was very much full of foresight. Thank goodness for being able to have politicians, for example, who are willing to come together, compromise, and do this thing together. We're all thankful for it. And we, I think, are one agency that is looked to with admiration because it's always been a well-run division. And I think that accolades should go to the general manager and the staff for that.
Congratulations, we couldn't have done it without you. And we'll be back with more on the Flood Channel right after this.
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Seriously, the ref botched that call. He ruined the game.
I know, baby.
Babe, it's my bonus check. You know what this means.
I do know what this means. Oh my God, new wardrobe. I can get
come on, you know. We can buy flood insurance. Yes!
In Clark County, floods can strike at any time, and not just in flood zones. Flooding can cost thousands of dollars in damage, destroying your home and its contents. Do you have flood insurance?
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Hi, I'm Sally. You're watching my channel.
Welcome back to our Best of Awards show. One of our top priorities is protecting Lake Mead, our drinking water source. So our award for You Can Make a Difference goes to Washwalks. Take a look.
On a beautiful day like today, what could be better than enjoying a hike through one of the valley's biggest natural parks? Hi, I'm Carrie Ann Mokopathai, and that's my husband BJ, and we're enjoying the day at the Wetlands Park near Lake Las Vegas. These wetlands are part of the Lower Las Vegas Wash. Every community in the valley drains through this area before it reaches Lake Mead. That's why twice a year officials conduct wash walks as part of an ongoing effort to try to keep pollutants from harming the environment.
Well, the primary reason we see it as important is because anything that is dumped or discharged into a wash, into a gutter, or into a storm drain flows untreated to Lake Mead. And that's our primary source of drinking water, so we're very concerned about anything that would get into this water body. They came about back in 1990. The Nevada Division of Environmental Protection requested all the member agencies in the valley to begin inspecting storm channels, specifically the ones that had dry weather flow in them. And as the years went on, that eventually became a permit requirement in the permit that we have from them to discharge storm water to the waters of the state.
Well, many people don't realize that the storm